A good comrade of mine, a fellow Kashmiri, executive member of the Organisation of Kashmir Coalition, which promotes human rights, including right to self-determination of the people of Kashmir. Professor Shawl has authored a number of books, including his collection of poems, Speaking Silence. Professor.
Thank you, Chairman, Excellency Dr. Shiri Mazari, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. The subject of discussion is very pressing. Statesmanship is urgent, and indifference is not an option. Before I speak on the subject, siege continues in Jammu and Kashmir. I would like to emphasize that this siege has consequences and challenges. Before I elaborate the subject, I would refer to a recent writing of a UN expert on human rights. He says, the civilizational model of the globalized world must not be one of positivism, legalism, and loopholes, but one of ethics, direct democracy, respect for the environment, solidarity, and human dignity. At a time when a fascist, supremacist, and regressive Indian regime has committed blatant aggression on the rights of Kashmiri people, it violated the human dignity by imprisoning the entire population and subjecting them to gruesome tyranny. International solidarity to stop this savage act was lacking. Let me tell you that the present-day India is being polarized and transformed by the avatars of Hindutva. Modi, Shah, and Doval are the instruments of a Hindu fundamentalist terrorist organization known as Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. BJP is its political face. What has happened in Kashmir has been planned since BJP came to power in 2014. To understand the origin, nature, and extension and apprehension, it is important to recall how the doctrine of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval on Kashmir in the past 5 years or more, notably in the run-up to the 2019 general election, altered the political battle lines in Kashmir and attempted to ruffle its social and religious dynamics, and in effect, the very calculus of the struggle. There are three salient features of this doctrine. The center's decision to opt for a militaristic policy with a focus on eliminating the struggling voices from the scene by use of brute force. This action precipitated the resurgence of indigenous armed resistance. In an attempt to install a BJP exclusive government, it finally decided for the unceremonious dissolution of the puppet assembly to change the dynamics, structure, and scope of mainstream politics. Second, center cracked down on pro-resistance leaders. Yasin Malik was incarcerated and his JKF was banned. All the Hurriyat leaders, Sayyid Ali Gilani and Mirwais Umar Farooq, were placed under house arrest. NIA, National Investigation Agency, raided and the immovable assets of the leaders were attached. This was a deliberate attempt to create a political vacuum. Third, Jamaat Islami, a social, religious, and political organization, was also banned to establish the supremacy of Hindutva over all other political and ideological schools of thought. With the August 5 aggression, Kashmir stands choked, resembling a battlefront with barbed wires, army convoys, and tyranny everywhere. I would just like to, because I'm mindful of the time that I have to take, and I want to be in time.
You have 2 minutes, sir.
A Kashmiri journalist has characterized the existing siege, and he writes in The Diplomat, "This is one of the darkest times to be a Kashmiri. We are being reminded of the fact that every minute since August 5, abrogation of Article 370 of Indian Constitution, which had granted Jammu and Kashmir partial autonomy, we encounter in our minds in the anxious look on the faces of Kashmir, in the listless markets, in the street side hurdles that invariably veer into discussions about an uncertain future and the specter of looming demographic change. We feel it every time we pick up our phones knowing they won't connect to the internet, even more than 5 months after the communication blackout again. And now it is the 6 months have already passed. Kashmir siege, however, goes well beyond indefinite denial of internet and encompasses every aspect of life. It is about so many things done to the people simultaneously in its external manifestation. It is of course about a blanket security lockdown and a communication blockade, cyber curfew which we call, which between them have brought to bear almost the entire might of Indian state on Kashmir to suppress all forms of dissent. Kashmir is being denied any space to protest. All major political leaders or influential voices across are under detention. These include the 3 former chief ministers, obsession with an engineered pacification of Kashmir, and paranoia about a mass protest guarantees a lingering siege in its myriad visible and invisible forms. Before I conclude, I would like to say that it needs to be understood that genocide and the forces that conduct and benefit from it often wear many masks and disguises. Genocide was first recognized as a crime under international law, as already been said. Therefore, I would like to conclude that the world needs to get awakened and intervene to stop the Indian oppressive machinery in Kashmir and allow the Kashmiris to use their right to self-determination to decide their political future. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Shawl, for that very illuminating